Hey, this is Kevin with Sierra Comics to Toys, and pretty excited today because I got my copy of Jawbreakers. This was an Indiegogo comic book that I purchased last year. I have heard there's been some trouble with the shipping. Some have been sent out in envelopes that are fairly thin and everything, and have scuffed comic books, and there have been wavy comic books and all sorts of problems. But this one looks like must be the new batch of comics that are going out because it's in a nice hard mailer here. So let's open it up and take a look, see what condition it came in. Ooh. Okay, see if there's anything in there. Okay. Doesn't look like there's anything else in there. And let's take a look at the comic book here. A little bit of a ding there. Oh, well, I'm just happy I kind of got it, but let's pull this back a little bit. See if we can't get a good shot of everything. So that's going to be the Jawbreakers front cover. It looks like he went with kind of the smaller Jawbreakers title kind of in the corner here. You can see like the Splato, that's the name of his comic book company. And you see some of the Jawbreakers here on the side. Let's take a look at the back here. It says the 90s are back with a vengeance, just as Jawbreakers lost souls. It goes on to say the Jawbreakers are a group of ex-superheroes turned mercenaries after burning bridges with the CIA while operating in the Middle East and losing their lucrative security contracts in Europe. Find themselves working as monster hunters in Africa. Written by Richard C. Meyer, who is going to be the writer. John Malin was the artist for this. He has done stuff like he's done Cable, New Warriors, Thunderbolts, the more recent titles for Marvel, and then it was colored by Brett R. Smith. So anyway, I'm going to take a second. I'll come back to you. Well, not a second, but I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to come back and kind of give some thoughts on what I thought about the comic book. So see you in a sec. Okay, I finished it up, and okay. So the book is made up of 3 different books. The Lost Souls is going to be the most recent story done by Richard C. Meyer. Well, he wrote all of the books here. The art is going to be John Malin for the first one. This is what he worked on most recently, and then as the Indiegogo went along, as it made more money, it actually added on like book 1 and book 2, if I remember that right. Those are older books they had done, and he had them like remastered and redone or re-inked and so on. So let's start off with Lost Souls here. And of the artwork, I enjoyed the artwork on this. The first few pages, as you can see here, they were on the Indiegogo project page, and you could see most of this without like the lettering, so you had kind of an idea of how the story was going to be. And then at this point, I think about right here, you start getting into the new story, and some of the things that I noticed, the artwork by John Malin, loved it. And like I said, I've read comic books, Cable. I think I picked up like the trade paperback for John Malin when he mentioned that, and just some of the things I mentioned that I noticed is I kind of wish that he would have had like a lineup, saying all of the names of the different characters and kind of what their different powers are. So, as far as I could tell from, reading the book, we have Devil Dog, which is kind of a ninja. We have Hell Priest, who lost his eyesight but gained it back more in paranormal means. Then we have Silkworm, which he has kind of Green Lantern type powers. Cuffs, who has like super strength. And then we have Knife Hand, who can create like create knife hands out of light that can cut through like almost anything. It would have been nice to kind of have a lineup with all the people's names. If you didn't kind of follow along with the Indiegogo, maybe you wouldn't have, or Richard C. Myers videos, maybe you wouldn't know like all the different characters. So yeah, that might have been something that he could have done, like a roll call. Could have did it just on one page with all the characters. That was one thing that I just thought maybe could have been done differently. Another thing was there was just certain points where something would skip. So there was kind of a part in the action where you kind of went from one part to another, and it's a comic book. You can show how it goes from one part to another, or maybe you would want to describe it, where in the first part here, they are just driving along, and then they realize that they are on the gorilla here, the huge gorilla that they fight in the first part of the story. So there's no you're going from this where they discover what's going on to, the ape is fully standing up and they're falling off. So, I mean, was he laying down on his back? Was he laying on his back? Was he laying on his stomach, his side? Where were they driving exactly? Didn't quite get that. That's kind of one thing that I've noticed with how things would kind of skip around. Let me find a different part here that it kind of did that. Let's see. And, as I'm going along, I mean, the artwork, I enjoyed the artwork. Let me find another part. There's a part where there's an escape where a couple of the Jawbreakers... Okay, here it is. So there's this part here where, they're being taken away by a drug lord. So you have Hell Priest here and Devil Dog, and then it kind of goes from this. And let's go on here. See if I can't find the next page for it. And then it kind of goes from there to here. So, it goes from them being tied up, being driven away. That's what I thought. Yeah, they're tied up and everything. So they're going from being, tied up to all of a sudden they're just cracking everybody's neck. So, I again with the comic book, I would say maybe you'd want to show kind of how that happens. Maybe, I don't know, they whisper to each other, or they have something where they show one of them pulling out a lockpick, or the ninja, the ninja type character here, they show some secret way he got his hand out of the handcuffs or something like that. It's a small little thing, but just it's certain things that skip from here to there, which I thought, hey, you could kind of put that in there. And going back to something I said with kind of having a roll call of like all the different characters and their different powers. One thing that I might have done, Silkworm here, Silkworm, I thought his power was that, he could create, he was like a Green Lantern where he could create, webs or force around him and make parachutes and that sort of thing. And then we have him getting whipped and then, I don't know, like going right through the head of the gorilla. Is that what I'm seeing there? Where he gets whipped right through the head of the gorilla? Okay, so he must be super strong, have super strength, be very, very tough. Did you make a cocoon or something to get him through that? Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know. I thought he was fairly normal, except for, the time where he would make these webs or force. I don't know. Anyway, just a thought. But other than that, I thought it was a fairly good book. The story, maybe the more weaker part of it, I hate to say, but definitely the artwork was good on this. And I think what you got here is you got one book that I don't want to show at all. I don't want to, if you were to actually pick this book up, I don't want to show all of it. But no, I thought the first book, the section that was, the Lost Souls section, the most recent book, that was a good start for like maybe mini-series or one-shots where they have like the different characters. One of the characters that I would definitely love to see would be Hell Priest. There was kind of a section in here where he had his sight taken away from him. He doesn't really see things. He can only see souls. So, and then I guess kind of the light reflected off of things from those souls. So unless there's anybody, if there's not himself or someone around to reflect off of, he doesn't have sight. So kind of an interesting character. I would like to see more about him. Then we got the two other books here, which we had the first one here, which is the book 1 remastered. Artwork, it's not bad. It reminds me quite a bit of like G.I. Joe. And as you go into like the second book, you'll get into these parts here. What do you got, Lady Jane or something like that? This totally reminds me of like a G.I. Joe comic. So, if or Scarlet, kind of gives a Scarlet vibe there with that character. But yeah, I would say that if you like G.I. Joe comic books, I think you would definitely like Jawbreakers. If you like those sorts of stories. Let's just go through kind of the back half. Oh, here's a little more work here that you can see. Yeah, this even looks more like a G.I. Joe comic book right here. You start getting into that. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll just kind of go on to the last pages here. There. Hell Priest. So, I guess this is going to be the community gallery. They had people that did original artwork that he actually threw into the back here. And Hell Priest here, definitely, I would love to see Hell Priest in a standalone series, definitely. We'll get on that, Richard C. Meyer. Then just kind of shows Ethan Van Sciver artwork, like the cover. And then you got Jawbreakers here. If you look at this, you can definitely tell like the G.I. Joe influence on that. It almost looks like something, they could even throw those into a G.I. Joe cartoon, and they would fit pretty well with the other G.I. Joes, I would believe. But let's see what other pages here. That one's kind of a neat. I kind of like that one. Let's see. And then you got more of a kitty one there with Splato. I won't try and explain that. You have to watch some of his videos to even understand the cat here. And and he's got a picture of the dog, so has a thank you on it, and got his signature at the front of that as well. I don't know about using a silver on white. I would have went with a black. Well, yeah, you get what you get. Oh, and one other thing. Okay, I'm going to finish here. But again, that was Jawbreakers. I think it was a pretty good book. Was it worth $25? I totally think it was worth $25. John Malin art, Ethan Van Sciver cover. Trade paperback. It's of a quality that you would get right out of any other trade paperback from Marvel or DC, and then a couple backup stories with, you know, even more of a flavor of like G.I. Joe. So anyway, can't really say to go out and pick this comic book up, since you kind of had to you know, participate with the Indiegogo. But you never know, maybe he'll go to a show, or he'll bring this back remastered, or try and put it into comic book stores as individual comic books. But I guess you never know. I'm just glad that I was able to pick up this comic book. And, you know, I'm kind of getting into a different form of collecting where, you know, I'm just getting something a little bit out of the ordinary, a little different, something off Indiegogo, and I think it was worth 25 bucks. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, hit a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications if you'd like to see more videos like this. Bye.